Okay, now I've watched recently the Cenk Uygur versus Ben Shapiro debate, and I heard a lot of thoughts. I'm probably going to react to that soon, but a big theme that I'm specifically going to cover in this video is the theme of taxpayer dollars being absolutely wasted. Now, as you know, I'm a left-leaning type Republican, but I'm definitely absolutely a capitalist, and I believe that taxpayer money is theft. And in fact, I don't just believe that, but if you look up the definition of theft, you will find that either you agree with me or you disagree with the definition of a word, which good fucking luck with that. But anyway, our taxpayer money, if it will be used, I would argue at least don't let it be fucking wasted. Now, a system which would exclude theft of taxpayer money, which yeah, that's definitely not a viable solution. Just steal people's money and give them just to the benefit of the greater good. That obviously isn't a viable solution. That is wrong. But since we're going to do that, and a solution to that would require a lot of people, and I mean would require a lot of things, and I actually just had a debate with my mother. I just showed her one of my videos for the first time, and we had a whole thing about this, and I believe, of course, that the way to go by this should be, well, we should make it so that, well, taxpayer, like, paying for taxes, that is optional. I think it should be optional, and, well, people should get, just either contribute, pay their taxes or not, but obviously there would be an incentive to do this, because what I would propose is you don't get to use public services, like any of that type of stuff. You don't get to use any of that unless you, and there could be a card system where you have a card and it will only work if you have paid your taxes. Now, if you go like 1 month or more not paying your taxes, like the first time, it would just be like a fucking violation, and you have 3 months to pay it up or something. That could be some that would work, because we'll get into the practicals of this. If I'm going to make a claim like tax or theft, we should remove them. I have to sort of go into detail. So yeah, I think the government should raise taxes through this crowdfunding, and if you don't contribute your fair share to the to that, you would basically be segregated out of society. Now, who would be the most fucking now, I would argue very poor people and very rich people would have a big problem with being segregated out of society, not getting to use public services. So, contributing taxes, which are really a fair share, it will not impact their lives, the people who pay the taxes. Like, even though they shouldn't have to give this money, like, the amount that we ask of them is not going to destroy their lives. Like, it is very fair in terms of a demand, in favor of a request, not in terms of a demand taken by force. Now, I think this should be raised through crowdfunding websites, and that way, specific issues, you could get to choose where you put your taxpayer money in. And, well, that could give people more incentives to, like, tell the government what they want their taxpayer money to go into, and say, well, you know what, this, I don't think it's useful. I think you're just playing with us, you're doing some clown shit, what is this, we're not funding this, and getting them to put their money into the specific categories that would be listed, and of course there would have to be a good system put in place with that. Yeah, that would allow the average American to have more control over their democracy. And now, another thing to point out with this is, fucking hell, I'm so high, I'm sort of losing my train of thought here, but, yeah, another thing is, say, if an issue, like, I don't know, it's sort of hidden down there, like, people aren't really contributing to it, well, that should be a government official's job, like, find where taxpayer money needs to be put in more, and, well, these crowdfunding websites, advertise them. They should be government offered crowdfunded websites, and the incentive to do it is, do you want to be segregated, bitch? Probably not. Do you want to pay your fair share, whatever that is for you? Well, probably. If you live in society, you probably don't want to be a fucking outcast, if you can have that choice and it's just your fair share. So I think any reasonable person would commit to that, and the people in power, their jobs should be to let people know, hey, this needs your attention, this needs your attention. And what if this doesn't get what if there aren't enough incentives? Something goes wrong. Well, let's add another incentive. How about the government? Like things that absolutely need to get funded, they offer big corporations who would be willing to sort of like a bribery or a sponsorship, say, hey, we really need money to afford this, or our infrastructure, our society is going to crumble. Just reach out to multiple really rich people, billionaires, and point out, hey, if you could just help us out by funding this, we'll let everybody know that you funded this, and it'll give great advertising for your business, and we will make sure to support you if you fund these, but let everybody know what they are, exactly what they donated to. And yeah, that would be another incentive. And I think based on that, that's how our society should run instead of based on theft. That would also give the people a bigger choice over where their money is going and uh, what the government is using it for. Now, I think one very important discussion we need to have is the discussion of our taxpayer money not only being stolen from us, but also being wasted. I think anyone who lives and pays taxpayer money would find that not only very insulting, but very abusive. It's fucked up. And, well, let's start with homelessness, because I just watched a video from the Humanist Report, and it pointed out, I was amazed by this, actually, the infrastructure, the anti-homeless infrastructure, such as the spikes that are put on pavements like, to stop trans people, I mean, fucking homeless people from being able to sleep there. All this infrastructure actually costs more than it would to just house them. Think about it. Make dormitories. Uh, I don't know, like essential things that need to be in them. Well, you need one for the whole place. Like maybe one microwave, maybe one, like all of that. Just have it big dormitories. They're just like the Humanist Report like put out a picture of one of these, and it's like you could see that not costing a lot. So instead of having these people just be homeless and just fucking I don't know, freeze to death during the winter, having them all of that stuff. Yeah, how about we be more human, since this is fucking America? We actually care about Americans. They're contributing to the system, and maybe homeless people, oh, they aren't given into taxpayer money. Well, maybe we should create more jobs for them, and also maybe we should consider the fact that they are US citizens and we represent them too. They might be the third class, which the middle class is always ignoring, to say as usual we're the victims, when the people who they ignore while taking a McDonald's, who actually might be starving, they're the real victims. But either way, I digress, or whatever the fuck that means. Yeah, our taxpayer money, if instead of being used to make these anti-homeless structures, it was just used to house them. By the way, I'm like making this whole video because I just had that conversation with my mother. I was also fucking high as shit. It was a great conversation. I'm just making an overview of that, basically. Dude, I'm a fucking clown. Hell yeah. But yeah, like this anti-homeless shit that is like, oh, like that homeless people have to go away. Like, oh, well, it's not really their choice to be fucking homeless. Like, maybe you could say they made a bad decision. Um, maybe you could say, well, it was their fault. But people change. Like, isn't the big fucking idea behind the conservative movements and Republicans, the Bible, that the idea in second chances. I saw an ad of like Jordan Peterson talking about this to some other person and being like, well, now you know we're talking fucking like conservative type shit, right? It's like, yeah, isn't a big premise behind the Bible give people second chances? Well, homeless people, just like anybody else, they can change. They can have made a fuck up that, well, destroyed their lives, they might have been responsible for that. And again, you don't know because you don't know individual situations. And a lot of these, if you talked to a homeless person, I bet they wouldn't tell you, oh, yeah, why am I homeless on the street? Oh, basically, like, I was lazy then. I didn't give a shit then. I don't give a shit now. That's why I'm still here, bro. Like, no, I'm sure they'd have a very different story, and I'm sure that the majority of them would have been fucked over by the system. Specifically, if you have drug issues, or if you have depression or mental disabilities, I've experienced personally, yeah, the system absolutely fucks you over. Not gonna get into the specifics of that, but yeah, this isn't necessarily even their fault, and either way, they are still a part of society. Why go ahead and just make this anti-homeless infrastructure when you could just house them for a lower cost? That is just moronic, and these people are spending our money like fucking insane freaks. This is disrespectful, and it absolutely does not represent what we want. Any person you would ask them, the average American, say, do you want this anti-homeless infrastructure, or would you rather see them be housed? You wouldn't even have to see them living on the streets anymore if you hate them so much. And also, if you're just empathetic, that's probably why you would hate seeing them in the first place, is because you see other human beings suffering, and that makes you feel uncomfortable. Well, guess what? You no longer have to see that. And my mother went on to say, well, just housing them. Well, that no, of course we shouldn't just house them. Guess what? A lot of things could not cost a lot. Ramen noodles. I actually, from the dollar store, you could get 3 meals worth of noodles for $1. Now it's $1.25 to $1.35 because inflation. But um, yeah, so 3 meals. Basically, like at least for an anorexic person. I eat less than that because I take my fucking prescription pills and I'm not actually hungry in the morning. Uh, like, yeah, just give them that basic stuff. What, like $1.25? Just double that to make sure that they have their rations. We're not even giving them that great of standards. And like, yeah, just give them like what? Let's just round up to $3. $3 a day per person. Yeah, I think our taxpayer money is giving a lot to other shit that people wouldn't really that don't really represent what the American people want, and that's also again why I'm against letting the government commit theft and just put our money, our stolen money, wherever they desire, which is usually gonna be bad, and that's also why the American people don't have the right to step in and say, no, that's actually not what I want you to waste my money on. If you're gonna steal it, at least don't waste it. Yeah, so guess what? If we can house these people, yeah, we could give them $3 a day worth of just ramen noodles. Yeah, how much is that gonna be? I don't know. And well, what else could we do? Well, at that point, my mother actually cut in and said, well, Republicans aren't gonna be for that. You're a Republican, and like, well, these people, like, that sort of incentivizes you to, like, if you're working a shitty job, you might be better off just dropping out of society and going into just yeah, this homeless stuff. It's just, if the programs just allow you to drop out of society and have it, and that's actually Tucker Carlson's argument, which she despises Tucker Carlson, but like tried to get me on a gotcha. Hey, wouldn't that be the conservative position actually? And I don't believe the status quo on every fucking conservative talking point, even though I might identify with that political party overall. And it's um absolutely not. Nobody would have an incentive to go homeless because what we would give them is a very, very basics. They would live in pretty much a shithole. Nobody would prefer that to say, like, are we gonna offer homeless people cell phones? No, we're not gonna give them that. That's ridiculous. If they want that, they'll have to work for it. And well, these people, like we're giving them a lot of our taxpayer money, right? Not a lot, by the way. But like, oh, we're like giving them all that, and like, but that just gives them an incentive to drop out of society if, like, if they're okay with oh, well, all I'm gonna have for just being lazy, dropping out of the workforce is basically like, just ramen noodles. That's like it, just to make sure you don't starve, and housing to make sure you don't, like, freeze to death during the winter. And it's like, oh, well, these people, they just aren't gonna be contributing to society now anyway, but we're funding them. And, well, firstly, they are citizens. We represent them too. We have to, because that's the whole premise of America. Your leaders represent you no matter who you are, because you're a citizen of the place they represent. The laws that they put in place apply to you. You have just as much of a right as anybody else to have your say in what you want all of the country's money to go to. Let me get some water here. Uh, but yeah, to that, when my mother said that, I actually added on, well, uh, how about instead of having that, let's move on. We're gonna do that. Why not do more? The government should maybe provide and offer some fucking new jobs specifically for homeless people. Specifically for homeless people, make the government supply them with more jobs, create new jobs specifically for the homeless, give them a chance to reintegrate themselves into society and have jobs, like make jobs specifically for the homeless. And then my mother started to say, oh yeah, now you sound a lot like a socialist, right? um, I am in favor of the economy. That is the most Republican standpoint you can have. I'm a capitalist, in fact. That's why I think the minimum wage should be 0. So I'm definitely not a capitalist. I'm not in favor of stealing people's money for the greater interest of the whole. But if we're going to steal people's money anyway, and, like, if we were to do this crowdfunding method, which I would prefer, what I mentioned earlier, I think people would still care to, like, enough crowdfunding would go, especially when the media would get to push, hey, now that you have control, hey, how about you give your money to that? You want to help where it's needed? How about you give your money to that? And people now getting not only an incentive, like, not only getting people to influence them, such as your average YouTuber, but also getting the choice, getting that power over their government. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this issue would be fixed anyway, whether or not taxes were obligatory. But, uh, yeah, if you're gonna waste money, at least don't waste it and use it in the best way possible. Use it, taxes are a socialist fucking idea, I'd imagine, if it's gonna be used for the best interest of everybody equally, to redistribute certain things. And it's like, yeah, I'm for the economy, and guess what? If we have more immigrants coming into work, if we allow more illegal immigrants to come in, that'll boost the economy. If we have all these homeless people actually working, that'll boost the economy, because more people working boosts the fucking economy. And, yeah, all these homeless people, if we supplied them with jobs, all these immigrants, the right used to be in favor of immigration, because, yeah, it gives them more labor, and on top of that, they get to cheat their way with, oh, you get paid less than minimum wage because you're over here legally, so I don't have to abide the by the fascist laws that tell me how much I should put into my salary when I'm paying, I'm demanding the service, I am making the terms, like, if I am paying for the salary, I should get to choose what I want to be paying for and how much, like, the price I put on my demands. Just like, I should be able to sell this fucking chunk of weed for $1 million, and if someone's stupid enough to buy it, yeah, they should be allowed to do that, and I should be allowed to sell it. But back on topic here, I get off the rails a lot, especially when I'm high, of course. But yeah, all of our taxpayer money is absolutely not going in the right places, and that would help the economy. Make all these people, give them incentives to start working, make jobs specifically for them. That's what the whole premise behind giving people taxpayer money in a in a mostly capitalist world, mostly capitalist government, that's all premise behind it, right? Like, how about you do that? And well, the next question to that would be, well, if you're gonna do all that, you want all that money to go towards stuff that will actually reboot money back into the economy, which some people argue that in favor of healthcare. Like, my position on healthcare is sort of split. I recognize the fact that it works in different countries. It fucking works. Like, it just works. And top of that, I agree with the idea that it should be a human right. Now, of course, there's a problem. Eternal life, for example, should be a human right. You don't really have the means to go by, like, enforcing this human right if you don't have, say, the money. If you need to steal this money, that's not really money that you have. Same thing with eternal life. You just, in that case, you don't have the, you just don't have the scientific fucking, like, research to know how to do that. So I'd argue in both cases you don't have the means. But how would we, like, oh, we should do that with taxpayer money. If we're gonna waste taxpayer money, how about we put on that? And to that, the answer obviously is, well, what do you see people complaining about all the time? Like, I just watched the Cenk Uygur versus Ben Shapiro debate. What did he point out? The military budget. Why do we have so much money in the military when we don't even fight in the wars? We aren't in a war right now, and yeah, the Iraq war, was that us taking lives or saving lives? Yeah, maybe we should save more lives and take less lives because that's overall a better fucking idea to go off of. So based on that, well, I don't know, housing homeless people, making sure they don't freeze to death, maybe giving them the basics of some food just to make sure they might be malnourished, but they won't starve. It's like, yeah, I think that's a better use of our taxpayer money than go to a needless war, which I am fundamentally anti-war, most people are. So these people are using our money extremely just in ludicrous ways. How about the other thing that Secular Talk actually pointed out? He's also a socialist leaning Democrat. Uh, well, the Pentagon apparently is like 1.5, like over $1 trillion worth of taxpayer money missing. These people don't even respect taxpayers enough to actually keep track of where their money is going, and over $1.5 trillion that they aren't even accounting for. These people are lunatics. That's insane. We should absolutely not be giving our taxpayer money to these fucking insane people. That's just, yes, I said insane. That's just completely retarded. So now the thing is, what do you see the socialist response be to that? Well, it's gonna be, well, the money in the Iraq war. What did Cenk Uygur say? Well, if we had used all that money for 20 years, we could have had free college for all. We could have had, and the same thing with Secular Talk when he pointed out these um these fucking buffoon lunatics who stole like over $1 trillion worth of taxpayer money and didn't even bother keeping track of where it was going. They just lost it. It's missing. Uh, yeah. What they both said. Yeah. Secular Talk said. Well, Bernie Sanders' free college plan. Well, that could have paid for it actually. And I would disagree with that because I think there are way better uses of taxpayer money than removing the current meritocracy system that we have with college and replacing it with a communist system. I think the current ways that we have fucking free college, that we already have free college actually in the United States. If you didn't know about this, look it up. It's called TOPS. If you're a citizen, and actually now that I have the green card, I have access to this as well. If you have all A's in school, you will have college paid for you entirely, and you can also sign up for scholarships. I remember in high school, during the last year of high school, the like in English class, some of our time would be dedicated to that, and to being showed how exactly to do all this. Now, I was in a gifted class. I don't know if that's necessarily shown to all people, but it definitely should. Uh, Maybe even starting in 11th grade. It's not like from 6th grade to 12th grade, where every year they keep having us take a full hour of English class, as if in 6th grade, people don't even know how to speak their native language yet. And it's not like in 12th grade, the average person who drops out of school knows how to speak English any better. They still talk like yeah, like clearly English class isn't helping. Maybe dedicate more of that time. And well, how about not ending meritocracy? I think meritocracy is the best system we can have, and communism isn't better. Like these people, if after high school they showed that they didn't care about what they were doing, they weren't willing to earn college. If they did that, why would we think that they would now work in college when they didn't work in high school? Now, college, of course, also has classes which are absolute bullshit. It's called electives. So they also waste your time with useless knowledge, except that now you have to pay for it. So college also has these, by the way. But um, yeah, why would you expect people who already showed we were not willing to earn college, which college is free for those who earn it, it's just not something that is given to people, it's something that is offered to those who actually earn it. It is some that you have to work for, just like public services, I think. That should be a reward for paying taxpayer money. Well, college is also one of these things that is granted to the people who earned it. Now, I think a better approach than just free code for all, let's just, whether or not these people earned it, let's just make it just like fucking communism. Well, you might as well not work in high school. What's the point of working in high school? There's actually no point because, whether or not you actually earned college as you currently have to go ahead and rank up into society. This is how meritocracy works. Oh well, now you could just you could just not work, and like maybe you'll start working in college then. I don't know. Let's see how that works. So I think there would be a better solution to that, which is keeping meritocracy. And again, I think this money should go into making sure that people get a second chance, which is then actually a more conservative thing. Again, the whole thing with second chances. And thing is, people change. If they make a mistake, which clearly they will have done if they hadn't earned free college, uh, it's not like we don't already have free college. It's just something that you have to earn. It's not just handed out to everybody. You have to qualify, and you have to actually do something to qualify. Now, if you didn't do that, that might have probably been your fault, and you might have blown off your chances. But then, within 10 years of you having to learn the consequences of your bad choices, you start to maybe change because people, when they're in school, they're kids, they choose, oh yeah, I don't care. This is like, who cares, bro? My work, I'm like, fuck that, I'm gonna just smoke weed. Yeah, people who do that, they don't really care. They're like, oh, their whole lives are gonna be fucked because of that, and like, oh yeah, they just don't care enough to actually make sure that they get all A's and make their way up to the top when it matters. Because you have to actually usually make a mistake to learn from it. um, actually allow these people to learn instead of just fixing. Oh yeah, we're just gonna let you make that mistake just a second time. We're just gonna offer college for free. And like, if you fail, well, I don't know. What's the answer to that? What if you keep not trying in college? Do we keep giving you free classes? Like, do we just say, oh, well, now you've failed college, so you don't get a second chance. Now you're going to have to learn the lesson. And you're never gonna get a second chance now to actually learn from this lesson, because you've already felt college. It was already given to you for free without you actually having to pay the price and learn the lesson. And to that, I think this free college money, let's actually contribute that to bettering meritocracy instead of abolishing it in favor of communism, like Cenk Uygur, Secular Talk, who I actually really respect, Secular Talk, would suggest. How about we give homeless people this, we let them every 5 years, once you have failed high school, once you've dropped out of high school, after 4 to 5 years of you having left high school, every 4 to 5 years, you get a new chance. You'd get a whole year of college, just paid for you for free. I think that's how we should do it. Like, there'd be a, what's it called? There'd be a, yeah, slow-mo, whatever the fuck. There'd be a cooldown of 4 to 5 years, and every 4 to 5 years, you'd have 1 year of free college paid for you, whoever you are, especially homeless people. I argue definitely homeless people. Like that, well, yeah, people are going to be a different person. Like, yeah, you were homeless for, what, like 10 years? You know that within the next 10 years, if you're not dead, you will probably just still be homeless. What else are you going to be? It's sort of like, uh, yeah, these homeless people, why not give them a second chance? Because clearly, after 10 years of having had to learn their mistake, uh, having had to live with these consequences and see how much college and how much their education really was worth, now that they're no longer kids and they had time to grow up and actually face the consequences of not caring about school, uh, and maybe even have their parents tell you, yeah, I don't care about school. Yeah, give them every 4 to 5 years a chance to have 1 year worth of college paid for them, to give them a chance to raise their GPA, their grade per average. And if you don't know, that's why people who like have failed in high school, they can't go to college because their grade per average, their GPA, isn't high enough for them to be accepted in a college. Well, every 4 to 5 years, I'd say, pay specifically homeless people like a year of free college, and if their GPA is high enough for their classes to be paid, well, there you go. That's their second chance, and every 4 to 5 years, they get a new chance. Now, how's that for meritocracy? I think that if we're going to steal our taxpayer money, we should at least use it on things that are useful instead of lunatic policies such as. I don't know anything about the Iraq War. I don't even know which president that was under. I think it was Trump. But yeah, I'm generally anti-war. I don't know the specifics, so I won't take a position. But on Pentagon money, like, that much are missing. They don't know what they aren't even accounting for it. These people are absolute fucking lunatics. That's insane. They should not be in control of our taxpayer money, and we should be in control. And that means we should get to keep it if we want to. Maybe that might mean being segregated, and the government has all that control over us. So hopefully y'all have enjoyed this pretty long video. I went on a pretty big rant, but those are my thoughts on the Cenk Uygur. Those are some of my thoughts on that debate.